flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Alex, may we please have roll call?
Counselor Thompson.
Here.
Counselor Hickerson.
Here.
Counselor Hanson.
Here.
Counselor Zadi.
Here.
Counselor Demas.
Here.
Counselor Pedri.
Here.
Counselor Bingham.
Here.
Counselor Malonis.
Here.
Mayor Mickelson.
Here. Okay, first up on our agenda, we have our consent agenda, starting with the City Council meeting minutes of January 21st, 2025. Under correspondence, we have a thank you note from the Boys and Girls Club of Sweetwater County regarding the city's support of their program, and a thank you note from the Holy Spirit Catholic School regarding the city's community involvement. Council, do we have a motion?
So moved, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Demas. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, which brings us to presentations and proclamations. And first up, we have Community Kindness Week. So if any of the representatives of Eastside would like to approach the podium and speak on this, they'd be more than welcome to.
We tried to get the counselors down here and they just scared us. Mrs. Burton, you know we're not going to have you. We'll probably let her speak now.
Yeah. We'll just introduce ourselves. So, good evening, Mayor Mickelson and counselors. My name is Tina Searle, and I'm one of the principals over at Eastside Elementary. We'd like to say thank you for having us this evening. We appreciate you.
Good evening. I'm Carl Wells, the other co-principal at Eastside.
Good evening. I am here today with my class, with some of my class, and Eastside Elementary has recently become a certified kindness school. It was a little bit the next step from our Kindness Rock Garden that we dedicated to the community back in November. And when Dr. Libby said, "What's the next steps?" I was in the gym one morning and I was like, okay, on my phone trying to figure out how I can connect my classroom nationwide. And I ran across the Kindness Foundation to where our schools in the nation and worldwide can become kindness certified schools. Eastside did extended on our rock garden, and we had every class, so every student in our school building did a kindness rock and then put them out in the community. So we put over 500 rocks out in the community just on that, and that's what qualified us. And so my kids, if you guys could stand up. These are some of them. They helped us do the rock garden, and then they also helped us challenge the rest of the schools in the district to also become certified kindness schools. And our hope is if we can get enough schools in the district to challenge Green River and kind of go from there. So we're kind of seeing what steps we can take next. So we appreciate your time and just kind of wanted to showcase what Eastside is doing to make sure that we're spreading kindness and joy and love to everybody around us.
Well, wonderful. It's my understanding that you're one of 108 schools.
So I looked this morning, we're one of 115 schools worldwide. They've got schools, most of them in the United States, but clear down in Australia, Europe, Great Britain, just all over. But right now we're one of 115. So, and we're hoping to have a lot more in Sweetwater County 1B of that minority.
That's wonderful. Yeah. That's congratulations, kids. That is excellent work. Council, do you have any comments before I read the proclamation? Okay, very good. For the week of February 10th, the city, in collaboration with Eastside Elementary, will take the lead in demonstrating our commitment to kindness, compassion, and respect for another. Kindness is a simple yet powerful tool to make our community a better place, and we choose to act with generosity, understanding, and empathy every day. As a community, we recognize that kindness is a powerful force that has the ability to brighten our days, strengthen our community, and create a positive and welcoming environment for all. Each day, we are given the opportunity to show compassion, understanding, and respect to one another, and today, we choose to celebrate that choice with joy and gratitude. We are proud to stand together as a community committed to spreading kindness through our words, actions, and thoughts. We recognize that by being kind, we help create a safe, supportive, and happy place where everyone can grow and learn. Whether it's through a smile, a helpful gesture, or words of encouragement, kindness has the power to make our school a better place for all. On this special week, we reflect on how kindness can make a real difference in the lives of our friends, teachers, and families. We celebrate the small acts of kindness that happen every day and promise to continue to support and uplift one another. Together, we commit to making kindness a part of everything we do, and we stand by one another, always striving to be the best versions of ourselves through acts of kindness. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare February 10th through the 13th, 2025 to be Community Kindness Week in the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, and call upon citizens to make kindness shine bright today and every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you could gather up all of your friends and family who are here, and we'll all come together for a photo.
All of our staff, please come down because we need to celebrate you. And any parent from Eastside that would like to join in this celebration, we would love to have you. Okay. We're going to the podium. I know.
Podium?
Podium.
Okay, come on down.
I don't know where they would like that. Could we have your friends come down? Okay. Come on. You certainly
I'm getting up in this.
Too many parents. Too many adults. Too many. No, you're fine.
See, I told you. There we go.
There is that better.
There, that's probably better.
Thank you, Mary. Can't miss this Kodak moment. Everyone. All right, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect, thank you.
How are you, Trini?
Thank you. The huge one at the weekend, yeah.
Is that bright down here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dang it. Hey.
Related to Tina? Or she just basically neighbors back in the day when I was like months old. So I was like,
Yeah, we all worked at McDonald's years
I realized what I had in school. Telling me that this is really well. Like in the county, you literally have to get up on it. That's good.
Your country music. Yeah. Well, I just saw Maxine.
Ada? No, Emery maybe.
That wasn't 90%.
For battery?
I said 90% of the people were here for.
Oh. Okay, we got more.
Okay. So our next proclamation is for Jackalope Jump Day. So if there's somebody who'd like to approach the podium and tell us about that, that would be lovely. Perfect. Yeah, we'll get a picture at the end, but come on down.
I may have to do that this year.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
You could just identify yourself.
Sure. Rebecca James.
Thank you.
I'm an administrator at Life Skills. So we have been working for the last several months with the Rock Springs Police Department on coordinating this year's Jackalope Jump. We weren't able to do it because there was no pond water last year. So we are excited to get back into the pond, and everybody's pretty eager to jump, right? Just one woo. That's all I get. So it is the biggest fundraiser in our community for Special Olympics. I've brought some of our athletes with me today to just kind of represent Special Olympics. If somebody wants to get up and say what Special Olympics means to them, that would be amazing. February 22nd, we're out at Wataha Pond. If you are too chicken to jump, that's okay too. I have done it a few times, and it is an exhilarating experience. You don't have to support the fundraiser, though, by jumping into the water. You can also just come out, support the athletes, make a donation. And there's information on the Rock Springs Police Department Facebook, the Life Skills Facebook. I'm sure there will be more press coming out about this here in the near future, where you can get on, you can support the athletes and support Special Olympics. So does anybody have anything that they want to say about Special Olympics? Tyler, all right. And this is Tyler Chamberlain.
I'm Tyler Chamberlain. I am I'm going on 5 years as a staff over at Life Skills. And I got to say that this is one of the most incredible opportunities for these clients. Like I've been blown away with the amount of joy it brings each of these individuals every single year for every single sport that they participate in. And it really does mean a lot. And the Jackalope Jump is good fun. I mean, who doesn't like seeing somebody get plunged into like 30-degree water? So it's a good time. Yeah, it is well worth the support around the community, not just Life Skills. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you for your work. Council, do you have any questions or comments before I read the proclamation? Okay, very good. The mission of Special Olympics of Wyoming is to provide year-round participation in sports training and athletic competition in a variety of well-coached Olympic-type sports for individuals with intellectual disabilities. Special Olympics of Wyoming provides athletes with continuing opportunities to develop physical fitness skills, express courage, experience joy, and participate in the sharing of talents, skills, and friendships with their families, friends, and other Special Olympics athletes and the community. Wyoming is the one and only location on the planet to hold an annual Jackalope Jump, also known as polar plunge events in other parts of the country. Jumpers create awareness and raise funds to support Special Olympics of Wyoming by participating in a cold water plunge fundraising event. This statewide Freezin' for a Reason event runs February through March each year. The Jackalope Jump is held locally in conjunction with the annual law enforcement torch run and is a huge fundraising effort benefiting Special Olympics and athletes. This year's theme is Day at the Beach. In order to participate, individuals or teams collect pledges from friends, family, and colleagues to lock in their spot. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Max Mickelson, Mayor of the City of Rock Springs, do hereby declare February 22nd, 2025 to be Jackalope Jump Day in the City of Rock Springs, and I urge the community to participate in Rock Springs Jackalope Jump at 11 a.m. on February 22nd, 2025 at the Wataha Recreation Complex. Participants may register on the Special Olympics of Wyoming website, give.sowi.org, or at the event. Thank you. Shall we go podium up? Very good. Thank you for your work.
Right last.
Always makes me think of grandmas.
No more pictures.
Okay. It's the children. Okay, that brings us to our first presentation of this evening, which is from the Sweetwater County Travel and Tourism Board, giving us their annual report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Janissa Meredith. I'm the CEO of Sweetwater County Travel and Tourism. Thank you for allowing me some time tonight to share with you the 2024 annual report. This is how the lodging tax was spent in 2024. You should have this report in that yellow bag that you each have. There's also some other goodies in there as always, but the report is the most important part. As you know, the Lodging Tax Board is made up of 11 volunteer board members. Is it not working? I'm loud.
I put it down and didn't put it back up.
Oh, good. I don't have to lean down. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. As I was saying, the board is made up of 11 volunteer board members. 6 are appointed by the City of Rock Springs. Mark Lyon is currently our board chair. He does a great job for us. Really appreciate all that he does. 2 board members come from the City of Green River, one from Wamsutter, one from Superior, and one from the County Commissioners. All volunteer board members all do a great job for us. The entire purpose of that Lodging Tax Board is to put heads in beds, bring more visitation to Sweetwater County, and they do a great job. As most of you know, it's a 4% lodging tax. 2% comes from a statewide lodging tax, and 2% is voted on locally by our residents every 4 years. So that's what makes up the 4% local lodging tax. We operate the Visitor Center on Elk Street. Ever since 2020, we've been in that building, and it's been an excellent location for us. So folks that are traveling to and from the national parks of Wyoming, they travel Elk Street, Highway 191. So that's been a great location. We've increased visitation to that Visitor Center year over year. In 2023, it was a 23% increase from the year before, and last year was an 11% increase from the year before that. So increasing that visitor traffic, encouraging people to slow down and spend time in Sweetwater County. You can see the lodging tax collection there as well. It's really increased in recent years. We've done a lot to generate that lodging tax, and I'll go over some of those details here in a minute. The budget breakdown that you see there on page 3, by state statute, the lodging tax has to be spent on marketing to generate visitation. We can't build an attraction. We can't build anything structurally with that money. It has to be used on marketing. So 79% of the budget is for a marketing plan, 7% is for event grants, 3% is for chamber block grants, 3% to the events complex, and 8% for administration. Both of the chambers receive funding to operate as visitor centers. And the events complex, we provide funding so that they can do some out-of-county marketing and event recruitment for all the events that are hosted out there as well. And then any event in the county that's hosted by a nonprofit qualifies for lodging tax funding. So we fund almost 30 events every year. So if there's ever an event that's considered to be hosted or that's already being hosted, hopefully they know about the lodging tax option to help with that advertising or sponsorship for those events. We also work hard to recruit events to the area in addition to what the events complex does. We work to recruit international visitation, the American Bus Association group. Allison Volsick is actually working right now with that group to get some of that traffic headed our way. We also recruited state soccer. We've recruited several state sporting events over the years, but most recently, 2023 and 2024, state soccer was hosted here. That was 3A and 4A, boys and girls state soccer. We're working on another application for that event going forward as well, so that's exciting. Those 2 years generated $6 million in economic impact to Sweetwater County, just hosting that event with 800 competitors and their families, so really excited we were able to host that. You can see there are some of the committees and boards that I serve on. The Wyoming Hospitality and Tourism Coalition, that's a coalition of all of the tourism folks in the state. I've been on that board for 17 years. I'm currently the vice chair. I've chaired it before, been on it a long time, just representing Sweetwater County and Southwest Wyoming. It's been great. Some of those are local, some of them are regional, some of those are national. So serve on a number of committees. Our strategic plan, many of you are familiar with this. We developed this in 2021. So this is a 5-year tourism master plan for Sweetwater County. We wanted to make sure that we implemented a plan that we could make movement on and actually accomplish. So what we've done in the last year, we focused on those gateway entrances into the city through the City Beautification Committee. So done a gateway enhancement plan with some funds from YDOT. Also did a little bit more of a rendering of what the landscape could look like on Elk Street at that off-ramp. So you can see that photo there on the top of page 5. That's a rendering of what that gateway enhancement could look like. So wanting to make sure that those plans are in hand and ready. So if the funding becomes available, that we're ready to move. We also have used our destination development funding that we receive from the Wyoming Office of Tourism. We receive $300,000 from them every 2 years. So like I said, our dollars can't be spent on anything other than marketing. However, those destination development funds from the Wyoming Office of Tourism can be spent on physical structures. So the board allocated that towards the city wayfinding plan. So phase 1 of that plan was installed in spring and summer of 2024. There'll be 2 more phases to complete that. There's a total of 86 signs in that plan. We were able to get 30 done in phase 1. Those signs are not cheap. For $300,000, we were able to get 30 signs done. So it may seem like, geez, why are there still purple signs? And then there's dark colored signs. We're getting there. We're going to get there. 2 more phases. Hopefully phase 2 will be installed this summer. So be watching for that. And then you also may have heard of a feasibility study that we just commissioned for an indoor sports facility. Over the years, we've received feedback and realized that we're not able to host and bid to host a lot of events that require that indoor sports facility space. So we wanted to look at the feasibility of that. Why don't we have it? Could we have it? If we had it, what would it look like? So we commissioned this feasibility study, working closely with Parks and Recreation and that strategic plan, making sure we're all on the same page for what the future indoor sport facility landscape could look like here in Rock Springs. So that plan should be done around April, completed around April. So we'll have that in hand, and then we'll put together a steering committee that brings it to fruition or not. So we'll know at that time what the future of that might be. So I'll keep you posted on that. I will say, out of everything I've done in almost 20 years, I have received more positive feedback for this project than anything else I've ever been a part of. Somebody came to my home, came to my door. My son was like, "There's a guy here who was talking about some sports thing." I'm like, "I'm guessing it was this." He's like, "Soccer. He's really all about soccer." I'm like, "Okay, well now we know." But emails, calls, came to the office, came to my door, told my family members. So people are really passionate about it, and I'm hoping that we can make movement on it. Tourism product development. As you know, we have the Flaming Gorge bus tour, all-day guided tour. We do both private tours and public tours. Those are going to happen again in 2025. We've received great feedback for those, 5 stars. It's a really well-received tour. We also sell sandboards, and you can rent them locally as well, but we sell them. I will say it's an opportunity that we have. Folks haven't fully embraced it yet, but I do see an opportunity for more folks to get out and really explore the sand dunes on sandboards. For the first time, on page 7 there, you can see some of our board projects, but for the first time ever in 2024, we sent out a resident mailer. This was just to encourage folks that live here to explore and get out in their own backyard and rediscover Rock Springs and Green River. So that went out to everybody in the county in April of 2024. We intend to send it out again this April, so be watching for that in your mailbox. And then the scenic byway around Flaming Gorge, that All-American Road designation that we got in 2021, that qualified us for funding more so than we've ever been qualified before. So we actually just secured $100,000 to build out a site called the Henry's Fork. So this is a petroglyph site. You can see it from the town of Manila, but it's on the Wyoming side of the byway. So we secured $100,000 from the Wyoming Office of Outdoor Recreation for that site. And then we've also applied to the National Scenic Byways Office for the complete funding of that site. It's a site that will be brought to fruition by the Ashley National Forest, obviously. It's their land. They've done a lot of planning for it, and we're working with them to secure the complete funding of that going forward. We also work closely with downtown Main Street. As you know, the Lodging Tax Board funded some of the Christmas lights this year and last year. Also fund the Snowman Stroll and the s'mores events that are held during the holiday season. And they also funded some bronze art that was just newly installed downtown. Each year we partner with KUTV2 News and do their road tripping program. I would say that's one project that we work on every year that brings the most eyes to Sweetwater County. The audience is the largest that we reach. So really excited to have that opportunity, and we'll continue to work with them year over year. Also, the board committed funding to new flags to be flown at the Rock Springs Chamber of Commerce to represent the home of 56 nationalities. So those flags have been purchased and are ready for nicer weather. Like I mentioned earlier, 79% of our funding is spent on marketing. So a lot of what you see there on page 8 and 9, that's our marketing campaign, kind of a play-by-play of it and some of the creative execution. So you see some of those billboards locally, but obviously the majority of our advertising is placed out of the county to generate visitation to Sweetwater County. So a lot of times locals don't see that, but those are just some examples. And then from a public relations standpoint, we work every year to encourage travel writers to include Sweetwater County in their editorial content. So we work with a PR firm. They pitch stories all year long behind the scenes. I travel to different media missions. I went to New York and met with 30 different travel writers in May. 2 of those writers came to Sweetwater County on a press trip that we hosted last summer. And we had 13 articles published based on that press trip, but we have never been in Cowboys and Indians, ever. And I've done this almost 20 years. We've never been in Cowboys and Indians. It's a big deal, and we finally got an article, actually 2 articles in this past year. So super excited about that. I'll send you the link to those if you haven't seen them. They turned out really nice. We also won another award. We've won an award for our website before, but this one we won for a video. We won the 2024 HSMAI Bronze Adrian Award for a digital video single entry for the See Flaming Gorge Country video. Other folks in the state have won similar awards, but for our size, the size of our population and what we have for tourism product, super, super excited to receive awards for what we do. This is the video. You've seen it before, but I'll show it to you again.
Flaming Gorge Country is a landscape like no other. Here, ancient rock formations and pristine wilderness meet stunning waterways and canyons. Tour the Flaming Gorge Scenic Byway, a designated all-American road in southwest Wyoming, and let the open road take you somewhere unforgettable. Travel safe and stay informed while adventuring responsibly in Rock Springs and Green River. Plan your adventure at explorewy.com.
So super excited about that. We have a ton of videos on our website, but that's one of our newest ones. So excited to receive that award. And then after spending all of this money on marketing, we want to make sure that when people come to our area, they have a good experience and receive good customer service while they're here. So we do an awards program called the Reach Awards, and we recognize frontline staff in the hospitality industry every quarter. And those are some photos from those award ceremonies that we hosted. And then we also provide a customer service training program. So it's called a Certified Tourism Ambassador Program. We have 150 active Certified Tourism Ambassadors in Sweetwater County, which is a lot. Allison Balsick leads that for us. She does a great job. Folks are really passionate when they leave. It's like they have become a team when they leave that classroom. Same as our Flaming Gorge bus tours. Everyone comes back to the visitor center and they're like, they've got each other's Facebook. They've like connected. Same with this. They become very close to each other. They're very passionate about Sweetwater County. It's a great program. Really, really proud of it. It's $39. Anyone can become certified. You learn about the area. There's a 200-page pre-read about the area, the history of Sweetwater County, everything there is to see and do. And then you also learn just standard customer service skills, just soft skills, how to greet a person, how to make them feel welcome, how to communicate effectively. So it's a great program. If anyone wants more information on that, let me know. And then we also measure our marketing to make sure that it's effective. We're actually generating heads and beds. Otherwise, it's all for naught. So we know that our advertising, just what we do, this has nothing to do with what the State Office of Tourism or any private industry does to generate tourism in Sweetwater County. Just from the advertising that we place, we influenced almost $86 million in visitor spending. The average number of people per party is 2.5. That's actually down. And the number of days spent in Sweetwater County is up to 3.3. It's interesting to see it change over the years because they've always been pretty similar on those, but those have adjusted a little bit. The average number of activities, 4.8. Average trip spending, over 1,500. We influenced over 59,000 visits. So for every $1 we spent to advertise to them to get them to come here, there was a return on investment of $745 to the local economy. There was a time when that number was $45, I'll tell you. So we have come a long ways. We really have. So as you can see, tourism is big business in Sweetwater County, and I'm honored to be a part of it, and I would take any questions that you might have.
Council?
Rob? I have a question. Just curious on the indoor sports facility.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's too early to ask this or not, but have you had, with the enthusiasm you've seen, have you heard from any industry or private investment that would potentially participate in that? I think that's what Casper ended up doing with theirs, majority private.
Casper's
funding.
a lot luckier than we are in a
Yeah,
lot of ways.
yeah.
But we have worked with local industry organizations. They actually contributed to the feasibility study and know that they will be on the asking end of the day that it might come. So those conversations have been had. Nothing formal, obviously, right now, but definitely those conversations have been had.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. We appreciate your work, and
Thank
thank you
you.
for coming to share with us, and we can't wait to see the feasibility study.
Yes, I will share.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next up, we have the Sweetwater Combined Communications Center Annual Report.
Give me just a moment. Good evening, everyone. David Halter, I'm the IT Director for the Sweetwater Combined Communications Center. See, we have our new system for multi-factor. Got to give it a minute. Anyway, here to present our annual report. I'll go over the statistics really quick, if everyone has that up on their screen. There we go. All right. So on page 5, we have our phone and 911 statistics. For 911 voice calls, we've come back down to the 14,000 range. Last year, we had a huge increase from 14,755 calls in 2022 to 17,668 911 calls. This year, we're back down to 14,813. We kind of determined that peak was from Union Wireless doing their big overhaul of their network, and they did a lot of 911 call testing with us, so we're pretty sure that's where that came from. So we're kind of back down where we normally would be, is in the 14,000 to 15,000 calls. Percent of our calls that are wireless calls, so from cellular phones, is 90.64%. That's pretty standard, as you can see. The phase 1, phase 2 location and rapid SOS location. So this is the location of your phone when you call 911. Phase 1 is literally just the location of the tower that you hit. Phase 2 is a triangulation of your phone based on multiple cell phone towers. As you can see, that number used to be fairly low. It is a lot higher now, so 90% of our calls are now all phase 2 calls. On top of that, we have rapid SOS, which is a service where when you call 911, the actual GPS from your device gets sent to rapid SOS, and we can pull the actual location of your phone. We started doing that in 2019 with only 47% of the calls being rapid SOS. Now we're up to almost 82%. So we're able to see where you are when you call 911 a lot better than we ever 911 text calls. So if you text 911, we had 68 of those last year. This year, I do anticipate more. Burglary alarms and fire alarms normally came in as a phone call into our center. Now those are going to start coming in as a text message, so we can get resources on the way a lot faster. We don't have to deal with another call taker at a alarm company. It's all the details are there, it comes to us, and we can put it right in the call. Our administrative calls, so if you call our non-emergent line, we're down to 49,052 calls last year, and our outbound admin calls are 22,000. So that's lower, and I can probably explain why that is here in a little bit. 4,266 of our calls last year were transferred to Highway Patrol. If you call 911 and you're on the interstate, we usually forward those calls to Highway Patrol. So overall, we did see a decrease of call volume. Our calls for service, so the screen before was the phone calls coming to our center. Calls for service, they're actual calls that are put into the system. So, and this is what we track by each agency. As you can see with Rock Springs PD, they had 28,032 calls for service, which account for about 36% of the calls that we take. And our total calls for service for the year in the center is 78,053. Radio usage, just the number of minutes in push-to-talks. So push-to-talk is every time they key up their radio, and the minutes is actually how long they were talking on the radio. I won't go over this in too much detail, but as you can see, we are making some changes with different radio channels that we're using, and that'll continue moving forward. So mobile data terminal are basically the laptops in the vehicles versus phone and radio usage. So our agencies are starting, or they have been using their in-car laptops a lot more often. And what we're trying to track is how much of the increase in the usage of the laptops or the MDTs in the vehicles attributes to the decrease in phone and radio traffic. As you can see, our MDT usage is kind of flat recently, but it was on the way up. And our phone call volume and radio usage is coming down. So a lot less time on the phone and a lot less time on the radio allows our communicators more time at dealing with actual emergent calls and things like that. So officers are doing a lot more in their vehicles. Call taking protocol. So when you call 911, we go through a protocol so depending on what the situation is, if you're having a heart attack, there might be 2 questions: where you're at and what's going on, if you're breathing or whatever. So if it's an emergent call, it's an echo call, or delta or echo call. If it's a non-emergent call, it's considered an alpha or bravo call. This just kind of breaks it down on how many calls we've protocoled, whether it's police, medical, or fire. Active users, this just breaks down how many users are in our CAD and RMS system, Spillman, by agency. And then by entity, so City of Rock Springs, Green River, and the county and other entities. City of Rock Springs has 71 users, Green River's 59, Sutter County's 140, and the other entities 92, with a total of 362 users in our system. Smart 911, has everyone here heard of Smart 911? Does everyone here have a Smart 911 safety profile? Okay, if you do not, I highly suggest you go create one. What it does is it allows you to put in as much or as little information as you want into this system. You can put all your family members, where you live, where utility shutoffs are, if anyone has medical histories, pretty much anything you want 911 and first responders to know if you call 911. So if I were to call 911 from either of my cell phones, or if my wife or son called from their cell phones, it would pop up our safety profile and display all the information that we would want first responders to know. So right now we have 737 profiles, so that's 737 families in our area that have signed up. We also, if anyone outside of Sutter County has a Smart 911 profile, if they called 911 from within our county, we would see their information as well, and vice versa. If there was, if you were, let's say in Denver, and you call 911 and they have smart 911, they would be able to see your safety profile. So it doesn't really matter where you're at. We also have facility profiles. This is something we're really trying to push now. So the safety profiles for people are very similar to facility profiles. Facility profiles, businesses can go in there and put in their address, their building locations, their campus, all the phone numbers associated with their business. They can put in floor plans, material data sheets, again, utility shut-off locations, hazards like that. They can put all that in there. So if anyone calls 911 from inside that area or from one of the business phone numbers, that information would also pop up. I won't bother you with the other stats. It's just a bunch of random things. Services we provide, as you can see, we have a humongous list of services we provide to the agencies. I'll let you read through that if you like. But to the public, I think is the most important. Obviously, we provide voice and text 911 to Sweetwater County. Rave Smart 911 have the safety profiles. It also helps with weather and emergency alerts. Already talked about the facility profiles. Rapid SOS we've talked about as well. We also provide education about 911 and dispatch. So we have a few dispatchers that will go around and do 911 education for schools and senior centers and things like that. Obviously, we answer the calls for service and dispatch appropriate resources, fire, medical, and law enforcement. We also host the online jail roster. And we are also the after-hours emergency call-outs for public services such as city, streets, and water departments. This past year, we've completed a server upgrade. We're in the middle of doing another server upgrade. We have a total of 5 servers. We replaced 2 in the past couple of years. We're replacing 3 of them this year. A lot of the reason why we're doing 3 right now is because in order to move forward with the next version of our virtual environment, we got to replace the whole thing. Our consulate replacement, we were awarded a grant from YDOT to replace 8 of our consulate radios. They're just backup radios that we use for our dispatchers. If our WildLink connection goes down, we can use those instead. We're also in the middle of replacing a couple of our microwave systems, and we also implemented multi-factor authentication this year. So, moving forward, we do have several planned projects for the next 5 years. We do have a capital replacement plan. I won't go through all that and bore you right now, but I would like to sit down with some of you one-on-one at some point to go over some of that because it's not looking pretty for us. We have a lot of capital projects coming up, and we are kicking the can down the road every year, and it just keeps piling up. So we do have some really important projects coming up. Our data center, UPS in Green River, will need replaced. It's 12 years old now. Massive UPS, it's probably $150,000 project. So, and then our radio console replacement, Motorola will no longer support that after 2029. I don't have the quote back yet, but I'm thinking it's probably going to be about 1.7 million. So we can pay for that over 5 years, but that will be another capital expense that will be coming. So other than that, that's all my great news for you. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Your Honor.
Councilor Zadi.
Well, I was hoping when I saw the call volume was down that your budget request would follow, but
yeah, I wish.
It doesn't look like that's going to be the case.
No.
You've got a lot of capital improvements that, yeah.
A lot of our software costs have gone up dramatically. I wish public safety was cheap, but it isn't, unfortunately. And with the loss of our reserves back in 2020 and trying to build those back up again, we also delayed a lot of capital projects. A lot of capital projects are going to really start taking over the request. So,
kicking the can is fun until it hits somebody in the face.
Yeah, and with today's news, it's not any better. So.
Yeah, yeah. Council? Okay. Thank you, sir. We appreciate you coming to share that report with us. And
I appreciate it. Thank you.
We'll do our best when the budget request comes in.
All right. Sounds great. I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to petitions and public comment. If anybody would like to address the council and I, please step forward to the podium and identify yourself and any group that you may represent. Okay, seeing none, we'll move forward with bills and claims, starting with the bills and claims for February 4th, 2025. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve the bills and claims for February 4th, 2025.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Zadi. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilors Thompson and Pedri abstaining, bringing us to the salaries for January 22nd, 2025. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve the salaries for January 22nd, 2025.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Bingham. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstaining.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilors Pedri and Thompson abstaining, bringing us to new business. First up, we have a request from the Parks and Recreation Department for permission to fill a vacant recreation supervisor at the Civic Center. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor,
Councilor Demus?
I make a motion to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, I have a couple questions.
Please.
JJ, I just do everything we can to keep that Civic Center open. I've been going there for over 50 years myself. So how many supervisors do we have right now down there?
Mayor, Councilman Malonis, right now at that position, there's 3 rec supervisors that are kind of host that same level of position. So this is replacing. We've had quite a bit of turnover, but there's 3 there.
Okay, and what is our salaries?
I don't have that exact information. I think that maybe Alex might be able to help me, but it's roughly, I believe, starting salaries around $55,000.
Okay, and I'm sure you've done this already. Have you looked at any way to kind of move schedules around or move people around to try to? I mean, layoffs are never fun. If you can, keep from filling a position, it might be a little easier to.
Absolutely.
Do some things.
Let me rewind this, and I think I've prefaced the council with this before. That facility has 4 less full-timers than it did in 2012 when I took over the role of the Civic Center Superintendent. So these people are being asked to do jobs way outside their normal duties, which has been working. So we've stretched this a little bit, and I think that the turnover that we've seen is in part due to some of this stretching. So, yeah, we can, there's more that they can be moved around, but those supervisors also work outside of that building. They're in charge of outdoor activities and helping facilitate leagues and outdoor pools. So when you start to stretch that schedule at certain times, maybe, but what I'd say is 1 less supervisor in there is going to mean immediate and impactful adjustments to that schedule and also services.
Okay, thank you. I know you guys do a lot of stuff during the summer. I appreciate our recreation program in this town. I mean, there's not a lot to do
And there's a
with
lot
that,
of programs that go on during the year, weekends and nights, and so yeah, those schedules are pretty varied for that group already.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, bringing us to a request from the Parks and Recreation Department for permission to apply for a grant with the Travel and Tourism Board for the Shootout in the Springs basketball tournament in the amount of $6,000. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Thompson?
I move to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries unanimously, which brings us to a request from the Engineering Operations and Public Services Department for permission to bid the 2025 street overlay, 2025 concrete replacement Phase 1, the 2025 crack sealing Phase 1, and the 2025 weed mitigation projects. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hanson?
I move to approve this request.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Hickerson. Is there any discussion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson.
Do we get Mr. Hanson's goats?
We will be having goats, and hopefully not only will they do an excellent job of eating weeds, but will provide some entertainment for the community. My understanding is that something like 500 goats will be here for several weeks. So, go down to the bridge and watch the goats eat, which is what they do best. Very good. Any other discussion?
Mayor, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Kalsich, I got a couple of questions. What is our annual budget for each one of those, the street overlay, the replacement, crack sealing, and weed mitigation?
Your Honor, I don't have those numbers in front of me, but maybe Alex does.
Your Honor, if you give me just a second, I can pull them up.
Is it helpful if I stare at you?
Your Honor, it feels like everybody is.
We're fine.
So in the 2025 final budget, so this would include any new spending that was budgeted during the proposed budget, as well as anything that was rolled over from the prior fiscal year that had already been encumbered. The crack ceiling budget was $200,791.65. And the street overlay was $2,114,305.88. And to speak to Councilman Malonis's previous request about the recreation supervisor, that position starts at $56,000 a year, approximately.
Thank you.
Your Honor, I can get those numbers. I'll send those out because, like he said, those also include rollover from existing contracts. So that's not truly the annual budget amount. But I will send those out to everybody.
Thank you.
For overlay, concrete replacement, crack seal, and weed mitigation.
Okay, thank you. Also, how do we decide which streets get overlaid, which street gets concrete replacement?
Your Honor, we do an assessment of the streets, and then depending on what money we have available, we do the streets that are in the worst condition. So we analyze them annually and then select streets by doing that.
Well, the reason I ask is that last fall we had Florida Avenue concrete replacement, and the pavement was probably the best part of the whole road that we ended up replacing. And that was something I couldn't quite understand why we replaced a good road with some concrete. But my real question is, if we had some leftover money, is there any way we can move that from the concrete replacement over to another part? Say we could fix those dirt lots down around Bunny Park with that concrete replacement money, or is it only for concrete replacement?
So to answer both parts of your question, the Blairtown Road concrete replacement was done because the heavy truck traffic had degraded the underlaying of that road to the point where it was going to fail, which would have been catastrophic for that particular area. And we were no longer able to shore it up, and it had to be replaced with a stronger material. And then we can always choose to allocate funds to any project. It just depends on our priorities as a council in terms of the sort of downstream effects. So if we were to choose to allocate funds to develop those properties, which just were released from the grant to allow us to do that this past summer, then we would have to pull that money. And I don't know if anybody else has noticed, but we have had a habit of putting off maintenance and with the thought that we would address it in the future. And those costs have ballooned to a point where we are sitting in a place needing tens of millions of dollars that would have been millions of dollars had we addressed it in a timely manner. So it just is the council's priorities when we go through the budget process, which we'll start looking at as a council in April.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
I do have the amounts for the proposed budget for crack sealing. The budgeted new spending as of the proposed budget in June of 2024 for fiscal year 25 would have been $200,000 for crack sealing. The additional 13 would have been funds that were essentially encumbered, meaning we had entered into a contract with the company to provide the services. We just hadn't paid it. And then for street overlay, it was 1.7 million. So there would have been about $500,000 or so that was encumbered from the previous year. And then for concrete replacement, it was also 1.7 million was proposed for new spending.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex.
Okay. Very good. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? The motion carries unanimously, bringing us to our first resolution of this evening, which is Resolution 2025-16.
A resolution accepting and approving a contract between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and H&M Field Services in the amount of $99,287.50 and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk to execute said contract on behalf of the City of Rock Springs.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Hickerson.
Move to approve Resolution 2025-16.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Pedri. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
Abstain.
Okay, the motion carries with Councilor Zadi abstaining. That brings us to Resolution 2025-17.
A resolution accepting and approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and the Rock Springs Amateur Hockey Association and authorizing Max Mickelson as mayor of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming and Matthew L. McBurnett as city clerk of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming to execute said memorandum of understanding on behalf of said city.
Thank you. Council, do we have a motion?
Your Honor.
Councilor Demas.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-17.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Your Honor, second.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Is there any discussion? Okay. Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? Okay, the motion carries unanimously, which takes us to our ordinances. We have 4 this evening that are all on their second reading. So we will take action at our next council meeting. The first is 2025-01.
An ordinance amending Article 3-5, Section 3-538 of the ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming, entitled Licensing of Dogs and Cats, Section 539, entitled Impoundment and Adoption, and Section 3-540, entitled Adoption of Animals.
Thank you. Council, any questions or comments? Okay, so we will look forward to taking action on that at our next meeting, bringing us to Ordinance 2025-02.
An ordinance amending Article 7-1 entitled Building Code of the Ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Thank you. Council? Okay, that takes us to 2025-03.
An ordinance amending Article 7-1 entitled Building Code of the Ordinances of the City of Rock Springs, Wyoming.
Thank you. Council? Okay, our final ordinance of this evening is 2025-04.
An ordinance amending Chapter 1, Article 1-7, Section 1-707A of the Ordinances of the City of Rock Springs entitled Standing Committees.
Thank you. Council? Councilor Ergerson.
Your Honor. So are we going to wait until our passage or failure of this before we do our annual assignments?
My intent is to bring them forward at the next council meeting.
Okay.
And do them simultaneously. Obviously, if the ordinance fails, then we'll be doing another appointment at our first March meeting.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, that brings us to council updates. It's your opportunity to share with the public anything you've been up to or anything you'd like to discuss. Councilor Demas?
I went to the Red Tie Gala. It was a nice event, raised lots of money for the hospital. The turnout was great. That's about it.
It was good. Councilor Thompson?
On that, my wife only won one bid, and I could carry it all out to the truck by myself. Last time, we had to have 8 kids carry stuff out to the truck.
Oh, Lord.
Oh.
She'll be happy I mentioned that.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, before adjourning, I do have an issue that I need to bring forward. I was in the dairy aisle a couple of days ago, and while there, overheard a conversation that was very troubling that I feel it is necessary to bring to the council's attention to provide the individual with an opportunity to provide the factual basis for the public statements that were made. While looking for milk, I overheard Councilor Malonis discussing, as a sitting councilman, with an individual of the public, and certainly other people were able to overhear it, that he knows that the city employees are incompetent and corrupt. And as a councilman, if you're going to make that kind of public statement, it's important that you bring the factual basis forward to the council and I so that we can address it. And so I'm providing you this opportunity to do so.
All right, Mr. Mayor. The conversation I had was with Mr. Lynn Jackman. He's pretty familiar with the city. And I never said anything about corruption. He's the one that brought up corruption, not me. I was just listening to the conversation. So it really, I didn't say that.
Well, we have differing memories then of the conversation.
So you were just eavesdropping on the conversation. You weren't in the conversation.
It was a public conversation that you were having and stated, that's why I'm there. And in your position, if you're going to have those conversations in a place where the public can overhear it, and there's certainly no expectation of privacy in the dairy aisle at Albertsons, then you need to have some sort of factual basis for those statements. And it certainly would have been appropriate, regardless of who you were talking to, if you do not have a factual basis, to say, I do not have a factual basis to support those allegations.
I never said that there was any corruption. Lynn Jackman said that, not me. So you were just eavesdropping on the conversation. That wasn't what I said. I never said that.
Again,
I have a right to free speech. You're not going to take my right to free speech. I don't care if I'm in Albertsons, I'm here, I'm in my house.
In your position, in our memory is different. I remember you very much affirming his statements and saying, yes, it is. In that position where members of the public can hear what you're saying, it is not Rick Malonis speaking, but it is Councilor Malonis, and it has an impact. And I need to ensure, if that is your belief, that you provide the council and I with the factual basis so that we can investigate it. Because if that is in fact true, we have a serious problem.
I didn't say that, Max. But you know, the last mayor was indicted by the FBI, and there's some people here that were still with him.
Right.
So I didn't say that, Max.
And
I
150
did not
years
say
ago, we killed a whole bunch of Chinese people. The past is dead, and we are living today. And so I'm providing an opportunity because, yeah, it was not a challenge to hear what you two gentlemen were discussing.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting that you happened to be coming by at that exact time. I was just sitting there. He didn't even know you were the mayor. I was just listening to his conversation. He was telling me what he thought.
So then the conclusion of this is that you do not believe that the city employees are corrupt and incompetent. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Corrupt and incompetent?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just here. I'm new.
Okay. Well, thank you. And with that, we are adjourned.